So the rumors for the new Nvidia 3000 series GPUs have started. Is there any merit to them? And let's talk about what we're looking forward to as possibilities. So let's get started. Hey guys, Tiago with Classical Technology here. Thank you for joining me again for another video. Please subscribe, smash that like button, leave a comment below. What are you looking forward in the next 3000 series GPUs from Nvidia? So it seems like just yesterday, the 20 series, like the 2080, 2080 Ti, were launched by Nvidia to much criticism with their RTX technology that wasn't really ready. The biggest flack they got was definitely due to ray tracing. It really wasn't ready at all. Like, very few games supported it, and the games that did had a huge FPS penalty. Now, there are rumors that the 3000 series is pretty close to being launched. It makes sense. In 2019, Nvidia sort of launched its mid-tier lineup and its lower-end lineup. And then back in 2018 is when they launched their sort of high-end lineup like the 2080 Ti. So now we're kind of due for a big upgrade. AMD is also threatening to release what they're calling like a big Navi GPU, which would be something that would at least meet or exceed what the 2080 Ti is. And Nvidia can't be caught with their pants down like an Intel was, so they definitely should probably preemptively release something, or at least be prepared to counter whatever AMD is going to bring to the table. So now there's very little information. It's still just speculative, but of course they're going to release the 3000 series, so it's not really a rumor. I mean, historically every generation has to come, and it seems right about the time. Instead of speculating or any rumors, let's talk about a little wish list. Maybe the top things that we would like to see in the next generation that was possibly missing in this generation. The first thing that I'd like to see is going to be better ray tracing support. I mean, literally that's what they used to sell the 20 series GPUs, but that never really came to fruition. So I really want to see improved support for ray tracing and DLSS and all these new technologies implemented during various games and up to a really playable level where there really isn't a big FPS penalty, as well as allowing you to play games that really increased visual specs, especially if you game at like an insane resolution like 4K and HDR. You want to be able to see all those lights and all those shimmering effects, which right now, while yes, you do have a little bit of that with ray tracing, it's really not supported in too many games, and the implementation of it isn't too great. So that's the first thing we want to see improved. The second thing, and I think this is probably going to be a little bit of like a hoop dream, is going to be improved NVLink support. Well, instead of saying improved, I'll just say NVLink or SLI support in general, because it's pretty much non-existent. Like, games do take advantage of NVLink and SLI selectively here and there, but the support is really poor. A lot of games don't scale well. A lot of games you actually have to go and like do custom profiles and really mess with it. So that's something else that Nvidia sort of sold during their 20 series sort of debut. They said that NVLink had so much more power and bandwidth than SLI. It was a superior method, and that really made a lot of people, including me, think that the new graphics cards were going to be able to support a lot more bandwidth in SLI, and games would be supported and the technology would be resurrected, because even back then SLI was almost done with, but it seems like Nvidia sort of kept that same pattern going where NVLink and multi-GPU systems for gaming are barely supported. And yes, one 2080 Ti does get you a really great performance at 4K and 144 Hz for the most part, but there are some games where it can really barely pass like 60 frames per second. It's not breaking that on every single game. So if we had the option of adding a second card, even if it was a 2070 or a 2080 that you can do SLI and be able to get even better 4K performance, that would be really, really amazing. Yeah, one 2080 Ti will smash anything you can do in 1080p and even 1440p or even ultra wide, but it's still going to struggle in 4K, and we definitely need the power of that second GPU if we're going to get ridiculously high frame rates in 4K. And the third thing that I'd like to see Nvidia do, and this may be a possibility because recently they have sort of been dropping their prices a little bit, and that's to keep the prices reasonable, especially if they're higher end GPUs. It seems like after the mining craze with the 10 series going into the 20 series, they really jacked their prices up considerably. I mean, back then, a 1080 Ti, which was one of the top GPUs aside from the Titan, used to cost $699. And then all of a sudden it goes up to like $1,200. That's a huge increase. So I'd like to see those prices come down. And recently they've released, the 2080 Super, for example, at $699, which has really great performance. That's a step in the right direction. But the 2080 Ti is still really expensive. It never used to be that expensive. That usually was reserved for the Titan cards, which I understand that they have to be really expensive. But I think the driving factor here is that if they have to compete with offerings from sort of that big Navi or whatever they're calling it, that are going to have to really compete in the same marketplace now, Nvidia has no competition now in the high-end market. It's all their GPUs. But if all of a sudden they have to compete with something from AMD, which is possible because their 5700 and 5700 XT cards have been pretty good, much better than their previous offerings and much more competitive in the market. So they're going to have to really think about the price, and hopefully the competition is going to drive the price down on these. And then the last thing that I'd like to see done, especially with the Founders Edition's GPU, is just make their cooling better. I mean, to Nvidia's credit, they did really improve their cooling from the 10 series blower style to the 20 series, which is a dual fan system. The temperatures are generally considerably lower, the noise is better, but it's still a lot louder and noisier and warmer than the comparable third-party card. Now, if they could reduce those temperatures further by maybe doing a better cooling system, maybe even a hybrid system or like a 3-fan system, that'd be pretty cool, because that means that the third-party cards are going to have to be even better at what they're doing and have even better cooling and specs. So that would only make everything, I think, get better, because the third-party cards have to differentiate themselves somehow from NVIDIA's Founders Edition. Now, NVIDIA's Founders Editions are generally going to be warmer and they're going to be louder, like I said, but I've always found their build quality to be pretty much the best. Like, they feel like tanks. Third-party edition cards, generally, even if they're expensive, they feel a little bit more flimsy. They don't have that same sort of shine to them, and physically they don't feel the same. But NVIDIA doing better cooling, it's only going to push third parties to do better cooling. And that's one of the main things. That's why I water cool a lot of my GPUs. I want to see better temperatures and better cooling. If NVIDIA can do this out of the box, I'd be very happy. Alright guys, thank you again for watching. Let me know in the comments below, what do you want to see in NVIDIA's new 3000 series GPU? Remember to smash that like button, subscribe if you like my content, and I'll see you guys on the next video.